Where did that second race sit in terms of tough America's Cup races?
It's right up there. It's I think this series, whichever way it pans out, will be it'll be considered probably the closest fought battle for quite some time. If all time, I imagine it's very, very close as we've seen. Oracle are certainly improved from the beginning of the regatta. I think today we saw in the stronger winds that they're quite competitive, but it's going to be a very, very hard battle for whoever goes on to win this thing. But that second race today was incredibly important for us to get another point on the board for us and to sail the way we did. It was a real confidence boost.
Can you describe what it's like trying to sail under pressure like that and hold your composure? How do you do it?
Well, it's just another race, really. It's just how we prepare, and you don't really think anything of it. It's not like you start heaping more pressure on any one particular race. But you definitely approach it knowing that you've got to be as error-free as you possibly can.
How hard is it to think? I'm thinking particularly of, say, somebody like Ray David, who's got to do the grinding, he's running around the boat, he's got to think and act. How hard is that?
Oh, it's very tough. The guys have to be able to keep clear heads because you're relying on everyone to be 100% focused on your job. And so part of the training has always been about being able to recover quickly so that you are able to keep thinking clearly and then execute the next manoeuvre as well as you can.
And how do you rate what Ray did today?
Oh, it's right up there. He's got a very good understanding of the course. He's putting us in some good spots. I think, as always, we can sail better than what we did today. And we made some mistakes, around the start and a little bit around the course, but it just happens at this type of racing. It's full on to the top end of the limit, the sailing limit that we're allowed to race in here, and the boats are hard to manage.
Okay, now Oracle have made some pretty big gains with their boat. What more can you do? You say you're carrying on trying to make a gains. What more can you do?
We're just refining the whole time. It sounds sort of like you're sort of saying it, but I think every day we learn a little bit more about how to make the boat sail consistently better, just in the motor and how quickly you accelerate at attacks and everything else. And we've just got to keep pushing the limits of that.
Is it some kind of compliment that Oracle appear to have copycatted most of the things that you've done, watching them tack and things like that?
Well, I think we've been in a race environment for probably a lot longer than they have, and so probably learn things a little bit quicker, a little bit earlier than what they did. But if there's good ideas out there, then I guess you try your best to match them. And they've obviously looked at what we've been doing, and they've simulated a lot of those, and it's working for them.
Okay, now the barbs are beginning to fly a little bit. Jimmy's tweet. What did you think of that?
I don't even know what it was. I haven't even heard, but obviously got to crack it somewhere.
Dean,
can't repeat it.
Can you keep an eye on Martin? How hard is it to not start thinking only 2 wins to go?
It's about the furthest thing from my mind, to be honest. It's very much about trying to win 2 more races. We know that it's going to be a battle for every point, and I think the statistics are definitely on our side, but we've got to go out there and earn each point as they come, and we've got to work very, very hard because, as we've seen, they're not going to roll over, and as nice as it would be, but they're not going to, and we've got to make sure we go out there to win races.
You did bounce back from yesterday. How did you do that?
Well,
when we talked to you yesterday, you hadn't actually seen it. What happened when you did?
I was pretty surprised that it managed to come back from where it was, because it was over, and it was just, I think God was a Kiwi yesterday.
Dean, to fill you in about that tweet, as I guess subtly as we can, it said there is no I in let's beat the Effers. Replacing there is no I in team.
Yeah.
So what's your take on that now?
Well, they're entitled to say what they want. That's what motivates them. It's fine.
Hey Dean, how important was that second race yesterday? Even though it was abandoned, You guys had gone up to the tipping point. You were able to get back on, lead at the start, lead at that second gate. Mentally, for the team, was it good to get back on the water right away?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think every time you have any type of setback or something that does go wrong, then you want to be able to bounce it straight back and just just get back on the horse. And I think as a team we know how to deal with that sort of thing pretty well. We've been through a lot together, and it's just it's a case of just getting straight back into it, doing the jobs that we know how to do well.
Was there any thought of playing that card?
No, not at all. No, we were more than happy to go racing again yesterday afternoon, and we just got to make sure that we are as error-free as we can in all the races.
How much of a game changer is this new pre-start? I mean, it's pretty hard to win a start with if you're coming from the starboard side. Yeah, it's a different dynamic, that's for sure, and there are ways around it, but you need a lot of things to kind of line up in your favour, and I didn't do a good job of the positioning in the first one. Second one we just managed to hang on, and it really comes down to good positioning and time and distance. You still feel it's balanced compared to the normal 4 minutes pre-start? Well, it's very different because you don't have quite as much boat interaction as what we're used to, and that positioning. The thing is, when you lose a start in this type of racing, the race isn't over. Typically, you're either bow and stern or thereabouts, and you still normally have some opportunities around the racecourse.
How far are you working ahead, particularly at the top end of that beat, in terms we could see decisions that were made there obviously had quite a significant impact that didn't even come into play till halfway down the run? So Ray sort of thinking, how far ahead is he having to think?
Well, you're definitely starting to think about where you're going to set up, which gate you're trying to set up for, because that can be determined by where you're exchanging tacks and things. And we felt in that particular one we wanted the right gate at the top. We knew it was going to be pretty close. We didn't really expect to be going around sort of quite as close as we were, but it's it worked out well.
Yeah. And you looked like you were prepared to trade off the lead there to get the position. Was that the strategy you always had? Or?
Well, we had two options. We could have either come in and try and take left gate off them and lead round that mark. They probably had the same option too on the right gate, but they chose not to, and I'm sure they'll probably look at how they could have done it differently, and we could also.
Comments being made by the commentary team that the boat that wins, it's got the port end opening, has basically got a huge advantage in the race. Are you guys seeing it that way? Yeah,
it is in the ebb tide for sure. In the flood tide it can be quite different, but in the ebb tide it's certainly the case.
Have you got a counter for that, like you tried in the first start, or
we've just got to keep working on it. I think it's your options are limited, but I think if you execute your manoeuvres well and your positioning, then you do have you can keep some options open.
So are you approaching those sort of races from we're going to be behind at the first mark strategy? What do we do to keep sharp?
No, definitely not. No, we're fighting to try and win the start, but at times your options are limited, and you sort of can't make something happen at times. If they position well and their timing's good, it's very hard to make something happen. And the first start they did a good job with their timing, and the second one, I think we could have done it a little bit better, but we still had inside at the first mark.
But even here, I mean, in the time you've been in San Francisco, you seem to have made a big jump upwind. Would that be true?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, we've definitely made a big jump in performance upwind, and I think at the end of the day, so have they, and it's just who's going to keep climbing the ladder the quickest.
Yeah, great. Thanks.
Yeah, it's we would have liked to have done a bit better in the first one than we did, but they got a good start, started a nice run, and we're going just fine upwind. So we knew we had to fight hard in the second one to turn things around, and the guys did an amazing job on the boat, so really pleased.
So your legion of fans, including the 3,000 with heart attacks in New Zealand hospitals from yesterday, are wondering how could they be so comprehensive and convincing? Where did they get that windward speed from, and how could you turn it around so quickly in race 10, the second race today?
Well, I think both teams have their moments upwind, and I think they've certainly, in the stronger winds, have got a mode which seems to be working well for them, and we've got to look at how we can counter that a little bit. But I think there's probably not a huge amount between the two boats. still a lot in positioning and everything else, and we've got to keep working hard on it.
Has the start come back more and more into it now as we get to the business end of it, do you think, Dean, given that they've made that gain upwind on you a wee bit?
Yeah, well, I think it's still important if you can get around Mark 1 in front. As as we saw in the second race, we had a nice little lead at the bottom. Felt like we're sort of maintaining.
And, we've all been in plenty of windy, sort of almost semi-survival conditions before, but the difference is with these boats that you just can't back off for a second. You've just got to keep the foot flat to the floor the whole time, and I think both teams did a great job with that today. And if you have to sort of back off just for a few seconds, the other guy will be right there with you. So it's tricky. It's like motor racing or anything else. It's how you mode or set up the car or the bike for certain conditions makes a big difference, and the best teams can often motor racing can get those configurations wrong and not be as quick as some of the other teams. But as we're just learning so much so quickly, it's really it's fantastic to see the development and be part of that. And different conditions today, bumpy water, big breeze. It was as far as sailing the boat goes, very different to the flood current and slightly more moderate conditions.
Now, the work of Ray Davies, who's getting heaps of praise for that. What set that apart today for him? What made that such a good performance?
Look, Ray's done a stellar job from day one, right the way through the regatta, and it's he's under a huge amount of pressure on a windy day like today, where it is windy and you're going faster upwind. The apparent wind across the boats, you're getting up towards sort of 45 knots, going upwind of apparent breeze, and you see him trying to stand on the back of the boat. He's certainly got a good lean on into the breeze at times, but his communication and his calming influence over the whole boat is wonderful, and it really makes the guys feel comfortable with what we're doing, and good clear comms under a high pressure situation are certainly what makes you get around the track in good shape.
How hard to do that, and in those circumstances, what do you think people don't know about how hard it is to be standing there, doing the work and thinking and being battered?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I mean, in the old days, you just had so much more time to make the decision of what you want to do and what's coming down the course and what the other boat's doing and if they're setting up or not. And you've just got you used to have heaps amount of time, but now we don't have any time. Like sometimes if they attack, you only got really a few seconds to make a critical decision in the race, which could affect the outcome massively. And when you've got to organise 10 other guys on the boat, for Ray it's a massive issue to give us enough time to go and set the boat up for the next manoeuvre and make sure that the rest of the team is on the same page with what we're wanting to do. So it's both teams are obviously doing a great job at that, and you only need a small slip up, as we saw yesterday, to be in big trouble.
How does he stay so cool?
I think just years of practice, I think, and I think at the end of the day, knowing the guys that he's sailing with, very, very well makes a big difference. He's obviously spent a lot of time with Dean and the other guys over the years, and I sort of feel like I've been the one that's parachuted in, that's sort of come from the outside a little bit. But Ray and I get along very, very well, and I respect everything he says, and I've got 100% confidence in his decision making and Dean driving the boat and all the other guys on board. So it's a great relationship.
Okay, last one from me. We've seen Oracle make changes. What more can you do?
Oh, look, there's plenty more left on the table. Don't get me wrong there. I mean, it's one of those things that we've just got to keep chipping away. Tomorrow's going to be a big day of going through the data. They'll be doing the same. The Oracle guys looking through the data, the video, working out where they've gained and lost, and we'll be doing exactly the same. So I think as the racing keeps going, both boats will just keep getting faster and faster. It's who can pretty much climb the ladder the quickest is going to get there at the end. Absolutely. Today's a big day for both teams, and there's always a sense of relief when you cross the finish line and you're ahead of the other boat. And every single race previously is that same sort of sense of relief of getting the boat across the line in one piece. And today was really no different to that at all.
It seems like it's been said every day that this day is going to be the pivotal one, but did you really get the feeling going into this race day that it would be a big game changer?
No, I mean, we sort of look at every day as every day. I mean, it's a long regatta, it's an endurance event. We do, each race can be different, and the game can change really quickly. So I think at the end of the day, you just got to look at each individual race as its own entity, and as we've seen, things can change quick, both upwind, downwind at the start. Yesterday was a good example of things that can go wrong quickly, and I think we've just got to keep our foot flat to the floor and keep pushing hard all the way through.
Unless you want to swim hard.